If you thought that Donald Trump's inauguration speech was frightening or bad, or even just a symbolic moment of tragedy, get ready, because his second speech says, "Hold my beer." He went from the inauguration ceremony to a room full of his supporters to deliver a long and rambling extra victory speech. I didn't even know this thing was happening, and it's the speech none of us wanted. But what he did at it should terrify us, truly should terrify us. Let's get into that. We'll look at some of the long stretches so you can get a sense of the crowd just being like, what are we here for? I mean, they're happy to be there, just to be clear, as we know. They love these speeches, but for me, I'm thinking, why do you want to go sit there for minute after minute as Trump just rambles? Unlike the inauguration speech, this one's off script, so there's not clear applause line moments or anything that's making a whole lot of sense. Instead, he goes through all the things that weren't included in the inauguration speech because they would be even more divisive than him bashing the outgoing administration. And he throws it in here, including, yes, in January of 2024, his January 6th lies about 2020, about Nancy Pelosi. What are we doing? While you watch this, please, if you do want to show your support for the show, you can do so by clicking the subscribe button on YouTube. Here we go.
That Joe did today with the pardons of people that were very, very guilty of very bad crimes, like the Unselect Committee of Political Thugs, where they literally, what they did is they destroyed and deleted all of the information, all of the hearings, practically not a thing left. They deleted all the information on Nancy Pelosi having turned down the offer of 10,000 soldiers. You wouldn't have needed 10,000. You could have had 500, and it would have stopped. Because we may have had 1 million people that day, the people that were there. You don't see any photographs, but we have a lot of great photos. But you don't see those photographs. They don't put them in. They show the people at the Capitol. But I was talking about that. I was going to talk about that. They said, please don't bring that up right now.
So again, he has advisors, he has staff members, he has script, or I should say speechwriters. Okay. They were able to restrict from the speech he really wanted to give. And the one he did give wasn't good, but he wanted to go further and talk about the January 6th Unselect Committee thugs and hacks being those who investigated congressionally the January 6th attack. That's what he's bringing up in this victory speech. It's as if he wants all of us who think it's bad that he tried to assemble fraudulent electors, bad that he tried to rile up a mob to attack the Capitol, bad that he told lies about our electoral process, but still won. He wants to rub it in our face and say, I can keep telling these lies, and there's no justice. I won the election. Oh, it's brutal. That's what he's spending this speech doing. Before getting back to some of those moments, just to give us a break, it didn't seem at many of the parts the audience had much idea as to what was going on and weren't too engaged, because it's not their fault. He got into what he does at rallies, which is just long, rambling, winding, weaving, as he would say, spitballing. Which, again, this is his inauguration party. He can submit to how he likes, but this is what we selected.
We built it, and they wouldn't let us use it. They wouldn't let the governor use it, and other governors, they wouldn't let him use it. But he was the leader of the pack and did a great job. And then we heard about a month ago that not only wouldn't they let us use it, they were selling it. They were going to sell it for 5 cents on the dollar. Now, 5 cents on the dollar then, but today it would cost more than twice as much to build, because we bought it like 6 years ago. And it was just sitting on the ground, and that does not do well for the whole thing. But it was just sitting on the ground, and I heard about it. And I called the governor, and I called a lot of people, your attorney general. And here's the story. They were going to buy it, and these are great business people. They were going to buy it for 5 cents on the dollar or less, and they were calling us up, we'll sell it to you for 200 cents on the dollar. In other words,
there's a big crowd in this room. Okay, I don't know. You probably couldn't tell from from that clip. But there was a lot of that, him just chit-chatting, and then if it wasn't that, maybe, go back to January 6th. Why not? Because again, he wants to remind us, so many people, even in my personal life, were going, Luke, yeah, I get it. I get your views about him, but you gotta acknowledge he's probably going to feel some responsibility. Now that he's won, he doesn't have to run for re-election again. He's going to be happy. He's not going to do all the things or focus on all the things that you think that he will. But he comes out and he just reminds us, no, we were right. We were right. He's still thinking about, at one point, Nancy Pelosi going to jail, calling her a criminal.
So I wanted to talk about that, but all of that stuff got deleted. And the reason it got deleted is they were all caught in lies. Secret Service testified, and they said it didn't happen. Actually, the two guys were very embarrassed. They're suffering because their friends are saying, did Trump really do that to you? But they gained a whole new respect for me.
Melania, you can see right here, is just absolutely, if you'll full screen, Jaden, absolutely riveted. And it's actually cutting off a little. Let's see if I do this. You can see a little bit better, guys. There we go. Head down. No interest. This is how I feel. Hat covering her face. So he's talking about the evidence was deleted and destroyed lies. And I want to show you, because I mentioned it, the remark that he made about Nancy Pelosi being guilty of a criminal offense.
Some soldiers. She knows it. She admitted it on tape that her daughter made. She's a videographer or whatever you call her, which I'm glad she is. Oh, she can't be in good stead with Nancy. But Nancy said it was my responsibility as she's leaving the Capitol. She said it was, and it was. She's in charge of security at the Capitol. But I offered them up to 10,000 soldiers, even more. One time I said more, as many as you need. But you needed 400 or 500. If 4 or 5, you 10,000, that would be more than the number of people there by lot. But we offered her 10,000. Think of it, 10,000.
So he thinks if he repeats it enough times, then it'll be true. We've gone through the flow chart of how the government works. It is an executive branch function overseeing the National Guard here. And the more repetitive a statement is, the more likely you should just kind of look out for it being a lie when it comes out of his mouth. He repeats things more often, the more he feels like he has to brainwash people into believing it. There's some hypnosis going on. 10,000 troops, 10,000 troops, 10,000 troops, 10,000 troops, Nancy Pelosi, 10,000 troops, Nancy Pelosi, 10,000 troops. Do you know how ready I was, you were, we were to not have to, I didn't want to have to spend 4 more years explaining the mechanisms by which Trump is dishonest. I didn't want to have to explain for 4 years that someone saying something a lot doesn't make it true. But here we go. Someone said, I was listening to the live coverage of the inauguration day, I think it was on CNN, and somebody made the point that Trump is now as much a part of the fabric of American history as any modern president. For good or for bad was sort of their point. For bad is how I would characterize that, meaning, and it's true, so much as really any other political figure, Trump will have marked an era in ways we're still waiting to see fully. And I guess we all hoped it was going to be an anomaly, was the word the commentator used. A blip. Little speed bump, and we made a mistake there, and now we're not going to do that again. But it's not anymore. This is a sign that he's going to have marked. I hope, in a way, that retrospectively will, in a unified manner, acknowledge to be bad. But we go forward.
Soldiers. In other words, J6 wouldn't be J6. There would have been no J6. But she rebuffed them. She didn't like it. No, she didn't like it. Maybe she wanted that to happen. But she's guilty as hell. And now we would have to go through the process because they destroyed all evidence. They deleted everything. There's
They didn't. It's publicly available online.
Virtually nothing left. The other fake story and so many other fake stories. And many people came out on our side. And those people now, we've got to find them. There's nothing left. So that's a criminal offense. If that were a civil case, it would be a criminal offense. If that happened civilly where you did that, it would be a criminal offense.
If that happened civilly, it'd be a criminal offense? Oh, I see what you're saying. So no, and no. I'm not going to spend time debunking those lies because we've done it so many times before, but the evidence wasn't deleted. The National Guard doesn't work the way that he claims that it does. And why? All right, now I'm doing it again. Let's just quickly explore together, okay? Because this is politics now. You think we're going to be debating over, or let me put it this way. You're going to think so fondly back to when the first 2 years of a president's term was us debating whether Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin were being in line enough with the Biden agenda. We were upset, rightfully so, with the obstruction of Democrats who didn't seem to want to implement the very progressive policies that were a part of Biden's mandate. Oh, good times. At least we were debating over substantive policies that benefit people's lives. Now we have this. And so again, let's explore, how is it, aside from, because the Speaker of the House does involve themselves in Capitol security, not a single voice on it, but they are one of the members in the room. But Trump doesn't even just claim that. He goes beyond it to the whole National Guard thing, which again, I've addressed many times. But let's just assume the premise that Nancy Pelosi didn't think or didn't act aggressively enough to arm up the Capitol with military troops because she didn't think that a president would rile up their followers into violently attacking the Capitol. It's crazy that she didn't assume that would happen. So crazy, because that's definitely happened. Oh, wait, it hadn't. It's reasonable, even assuming Trump's faulty and dishonest premise, it's reasonable to say, wait, why would she have thought it necessary to prepare for war at the Capitol? Why would that be something that would even go through her head? If you hadn't done what you did, we wouldn't have to have a conversation about did we have enough security or not. Because normally you don't need an armed battalion ready to fend off anti-democratic rioters, okay? That's not normally something you need. And so even if Pelosi felt some guilt about not doing more in assuming how dangerous Trump could be, that says way more about Trump than it does Pelosi. And also Trump lies about the powers that she has. And we continue through this partay speech, and he says this.
Succession didn't work that way, right? But now she's great, and he's great. This is a great, beautiful couple, and unbelievable career. I just said to him, you are very upwardly mobile, because he hasn't been doing it that long. But
yeah, upwardly mobile up his ass.
He picked it up so quickly. Remember, the first week was a little bit like the fake news was hitting him really hard. And I said, ooh, this may be tough, but after that, it was smooth sailing for him. He took on everybody. He took on the meanest. I don't want to use the word corrupt because we're into a new system, so let's wait till the corruption begins, because it will. But he took on some pretty mean people. And
that was a weird statement. I know he was talking about the big bad Democrats, but it sounded like he was saying their corruption's going to start. Hey, what else does a president do when they're newly inaugurated? Attack their previous chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, obviously.
You know, what's going on? Why are we doing this? Why are we trying to help a guy like Milley? Why are we doing Milley? He was pardoned.
Milley served his country honorably for decades and decades, and unlike Trump, didn't avoid that service. Got to the very tip top of military leadership. And had to do something he never thought he'd have to do. Which is say no to an authoritarian president. Which is to take shots publicly, sort of subtly, but obviously in reference to the commander-in-chief, because the commander-in-chief was a quote-unquote wannabe dictator. Not my words, Mark Milley's. And Trump has the gall to insult him like this. Then, of course, he's going to insult Liz Cheney because she lives rent-free in his head. Why? Because she helped to expose just how bad he was. But it didn't matter because people didn't care. Oh.
What he said, terrible what he said. Why are we helping some of the people? Why are we helping Liz Cheney? I mean, Liz Cheney is a disaster. She's a crying lunatic and crying Adam Kinzinger. He's a super crying. I never saw the guy not crying. He's always crying.
Isn't this so fun? So fun whenever he uses, whenever the newly most powerful man on the planet speaks about people like a child or like a middle schooler would speak about people. Because even upon victory, he can't deal with others' lack of loyalty, right? No, he's not going to be presidential. People hoping for that. No, he's not going to be better than expected. He's telling us everything we need to know. And there was a lot more, obviously, from these remarks. One little, I don't know if we should talk about this now. You know what? No, I'll save that for a different segment. A little interesting note. Something people picked up from inauguration, but if we have time, we'll talk about it later. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments. Support the show. Get the members only bonus show by clicking that join button below.